This is Chris from Houston, and you're listening to Drunkards United. Come on, you Iron!
Well, at least we know she's willing to point it at herself. When she gets beaten, she's willing to open up the show with somebody to mock her as well.
Yeah, it's nice, actually. It's very comforting.
Yeah, it's a nice little change of pace. So, Sad Jack, Mad Jack, against Kufal, is he just like beat up Jack? I don't know.
It looked like a Uber driver.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Sam Houston? Arsenal fans have another Sam. Great day, the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of my lord. Look great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey. Sam Graham. Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the Drunken United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the internets from me is the handyman, one Mr. Samuel Graham. How you doing there, Sammy?
Feeling not so handy at the moment, to be honest. I mean, it's working, but
that's not good. We like happy Sams, like, you know, no, we don't like sad Sams, like sad Jacks, right?
I've added my phone into the mix of holding this microphone stand together.
All right. Well, we'll make it happen, killer. You'll be all right.
Yep.
We're recording at Studio H, just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with one of your footballing friends. Remember, 5 stars, D-back. It's all you got to do on iTunes. It's the easiest damn thing in the world. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Sam, why don't you tell the good people how they can get in touch?
Sure. You can get in touch with us over all of the social medias at DUfootballshow. Once again, I can't stress enough. We love checking our DMs and hearing from you guys. Also, make sure you find the Drunkard United FC closed group on Facebook, which is where most of the banter and the not safe for work fun things like Jizz Horncamp finds their way for us to discuss. And then you can always send an email, of course, as well. And that is dfootballshow@gmail.com.
Lovely. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Sammy, what you sipping on tonight?
I brought out kind of one that we went over a long time ago.
Funny, me too.
Maybe not that long ago. This is a Woodford Double Oak single barrel that one of my stores purchased that I just wanted to revisit. 90.4 proof, ran me about $70. Pretty goddamn good. Yep. They still proof it down even though it's a single barrel, but it is excellent nonetheless.
Yeah, it depends on the bourbon house, but from house to house, it'll vary. Some will go ahead and do it at barrel strength, but others, they really want to keep their propriety blend. They want to kind of have that trademark signature that is their brand.
And Woodford is one of those companies.
Right. So they'll still make it a single barrel for you, and it's still going to have nuances that other barrels aren't, but they're going to want it to be right around a certain proof. They're going to want it to still kind of hold the characteristic that is so common to them as a distillery.
Right.
So myself, I am drinking the Timorus Beastie. This is from the Douglas Lang line that you and I have drank before. Mm-hmm. This is a what used to be called a vatted malt, but it is now officially called blended single malt. So this is a blend of only single malt whiskeys. So whereas like a Dewar's or Johnny Walker Blue has a grain whiskey mixed in with 51% of single malts and then 49% of a grain whiskey, this is only single malts. And what's cool about the Douglas Lang, there are a few that they don't mention because contracts and depending on who you're dealing with, some people are like, yeah, it's okay if you say you're using our whiskey. Other people are like, no, you can't say you're using our whiskey. We're selling it to you, but we're selling it to you so you don't fucking say, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So some of the ones that go along in this are Blair Athol, Glen Gorriach, Dalmore, and Glengoyne. So all Highland malted whiskeys. And
there you go.
What Douglas Slang tends to do, they have one that's all lowland. They have one that's all highland. They have one that's all space side. They have one that is only Isla, and it's called Big Pete, obviously for a reason. And then they have one that represents the other islands, a la like, you know, Talisker and Orkney and all those type of islands as well. So it's quite lovely. It's awesome. A little pale in color because it basically sees American white oak. And on the shelf, this will run you, let's say it's about $55 to $60.99 on the shelf.
Okay,
right in that range.
Not bad. There you go.
All righty, kids. Well, let's have ourselves what else should we do, Sammy, by the way, before we have a good show?
Treat your mic stand with respect.
Okay. Yeah.
It just fell apart. Drink responsibly. Everyone.
And drink responsibly.
So you can treat your mic stand with respect.
Very good. Well, you know.
Don't drink responsibly. Well, the mic stand suffers.
And while Monday night we drank responsibly in the regards of we stayed in our home and did not get behind the wheel of a car, part of drinking responsibly is the amount of consumption you do. And let's just say we did a lot of consuming on Monday night.
Yeah, in that term of vein of responsibility, we failed miserably.
Yeah, very.
We definitely binged.
Wow, did we? Hope y'all got a chance to hear that 2-hour marathon. And for our Patreon subscribers, it got even worse. Sam repeats the same thing over and over and over 5 different ways and tried to swallow the microphone. And while I may have had coherent thoughts, the problem is they don't come out of my mouth coherently. So I'm just discerning the whole time as I'm trying to wrangle him in. And he's like, what? I remember. It was just, oh my God. It was very humorous though. It was very fucking humorous.
I believe my preview insight into one of the games we're going to talk about was fuck them. I don't like those cunts.
Yes, that was exactly one of your previews. And then I told you we have Patreon people who support both of those clubs. And your follow-up was fuck them. Those teams are cunts. I was like, we're doubling down on it, huh, Sam? That's what we're going to do. He's like, yep. That's what we're doing. I got nothing else to fucking say.
And amazingly, nobody canceled.
How about that? All right.
Listen, go hard or go home, okay?
Heard, grown ass man. You got them. They got the guns out and everything. You're ready to fucking fight. All right. Do it. We open with a shocker. One side took a step back in their title defense, and the other takes a big step towards safety. Brighton 1, Liverpool 0. Liverpool has now lost 2 at Anfield in under a month, and it's to Burnley and Brighton.
First time. I think it's back-to-back at Anfield, isn't it? I don't think they had a game in between.
They might have.
They played away. I believe that's the first time since 2012 that's happened. First time since, I believe I heard the stat correctly, it was 1972, maybe, that Brighton beat Liverpool in any fashion at all.
Let alone at Anfield.
Right. So it's not something that we can often say about Liverpool, but they were absolutely toothless.
Yeah.
Brighton outshot them.
Yeah.
It was horrible from a Liverpool perspective.
Brighton played an amazing game. I mean, now, of course, Klopp had a bunch of other excuses, but Klopp came out right off the bat in his post-game presser, and the first thing he said was 100% credit has to go to Brighton. They were way better than we were, and they deserve to win the game.
Yes, definitely. And they did. It was an amazing team performance. They had a solid, coherent plan that everyone was 100% bought in on, committed to, and they did not put a foot wrong. They were excellent.
Well, and especially when you're playing a team like Liverpool, you can't make a mistake, because if you make one mistake, they will normally make you pay for that said one fucking mistake.
Absolutely. Funny thing that I saw, you don't see it terribly often, a giant wingback.
Yeah.
Dan Burn.
Big boy.
6'7".
Big boy.
Running wingback.
Not normally a wingback. Well, he normally plays center back when he does play. So seeing him at wingback was very odd.
Well, they're either center back, center forwards, or goalkeepers when they're that tall. That's it.
Oh God, yes,
And
absolutely.
so seeing him on the wing was quite funny. But he was putting himself around well. And as a Scotsman, I'm sure Andy Robertson would never admit that he was terrified. But if wee little Andy Robertson looked up and saw Dan Burn storming down the touchline, you might think, I might be in a bit of trouble here.
Yes, very much so.
And as a professional footballer, you don't have the confidence, courage, or aid of Buckfast in your duffel bag to help you through bad situations.
No. And as a Scotsman, that normally gets you by. It's the Bucky. That'll definitely take care of you. So Klopp claimed also in his presser that the team is both mentally and physically fatigued.
I can see that.
I was just going to say, welcome to the fucking Prem, mate.
Well, it's not even just that. It's you got to think of the last 2 seasons. Remember, club record total points. They laid all their nuts on the table 2 years ago, lost the league.
At Goodison Park, thank you.
Went all the way in the Champions League, so add in all of those tournament games. Obviously, everybody did preseason tours, blah, 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 which everyone does. Played the season where they won the Premier League.
Including a shutdown with COVID.
Right, and had the Club World Cup involved in there as well because they won the European Cup from the year before. So, but during COVID, everybody had their own personal. I mean, COVID's still going on. We're not saying that. It was during the shutdown where football was not happening. You can't be in the same sort of shape. General fitness is not the same as match fitness.
Right, of course. And training on your own is completely different than training with your team.
Absolutely. And you see some of those players were cheating. I think Eric Dyer or somebody was like attaching their club heart monitor or whatever to their dog and letting it run down the street and then calling it back and then saying they did their sprints. I saw another funny story that I believe Jason Witten in the NFL, I saw this story a couple days ago during the lockdown, there were supposed to be some sort of team workouts, the tight end. And he came out and said, yeah, I completely faked all of it. He said, I did all of my sprints in one day that they wanted me to do. I just did them in different shirts, like every 20, 30 minutes, and then sent him a different video each day of me doing my workout.
That was Gronk.
Oh, it was Gronk?
Oh, it was Gronk.
Yeah,
it wasn't Witten, it was Gronk. Oh, yeah, Witten's retired, isn't he? It's not my kind of football, to be honest.
That story sounds familiar. Is somebody trying to hijack Gronk's life?
I apologize. Witten's retired. I just hate him that much. I hate Gronk too, actually, to be honest. A meathead. But he, so he apparently recorded like 12 workouts in one day just wearing different shirts and then just fucked off for the rest of the 2 months. and just sent them the different videos.
So for Brighton, because I mean, certainly we want to celebrate the, more so than throwing it all at Liverpool and going, oh, you lost. We talk more about hey, good job, fucking Brighton. You deserve to be talked about.
Yeah.
Are the Seagulls safe?
They're not out of it, but generally over the last couple of weeks, their form has been, before they were playing well, but not getting results.
Right.
Now those results are starting to come. They're starting to see the fruits of their labor, and that can only give them confidence. The eye test, I'd say they're safe. But mathematically, they're definitely not out of it. You have 2 bad results, and Sheffield keeps going the way they're going, or Fulham starts picking up a couple points, you're in trouble. Right.
I tend to agree with you, which is funny because that goes completely against what I felt the bulk of this season, which is I didn't believe in them. I did not believe in them at all.
I was right there with you the whole time. I actually think I wrote on my preseason predictions. I have them going down, I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, credit to them, and of course, I'll admit I'm wrong when I'm wrong. But I
haven't seen that.
Oh, fuck off. But I'm definitely wrong, and then I think they're going to be okay, and I think there's still going to be teams that find them out because they're going to try to open up and play more expansive footy, and it's not going to work. But
of course, also just the class of the league eventually will rise to the top. While this is a great result, as was the Spurs result, which proved it wasn't a quote-unquote fluke. Brighton are a decent team. Every now and again, West Brom will tie Liverpool. That happens.
Right.
But we've seen subsequently that's a fluke. Brighton are a team teams need to be wary about. But teams like Arsenal, Everton, even Spurs and Liverpool, really, their players, man for man, are better than them. If Liverpool had one fit real center back, this would not have happened.
Yeah.
If two of the front three weren't missing, this would not have happened.
How quickly do you think Klopp tries to bed in the two new transfer center backs? Because you got to remember, these guys
who they're playing this weekend. But,
they're playing City. You can't do it there.
City.
You really can't do it there.
Well, can't you? At least that's their natural position.
Right, true.
You push Thiago out of the team, who I don't think's really helped out very much since coming into the team.
No, that's fair.
Being one of the most highly rated midfielders in the world.
Except for Graham Lasso wanting to bust a fucking nut every time he apparently kicks the ball and just goes, the ball sounds louder coming off of his foot than everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does have a very strange way of kicking the ball.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it, but I mean, meh. It's a nothing stat.
I would say back against the wall now for Liverpool. I mean, Sunday against City is an absolutely positively must win. If you do not win a draw, City could be fine with a draw. City could actually just go, we don't have to overdo it too much. Just, see this one out, get away with a point, and we're all good.
Absolutely, especially because that point would take them 3 points clear of Manchester United. So the best United could do would be to equal them on points and still be vastly behind them in goal differential.
We'll get into it in the next segment, but they made up quite a bit of fucking ground on that this week.
Yeah, but they're still 7 behind.
Yeah.
So besides that, though, what's going on now is you have a much revived Chelsea with Thomas Tuchel at the helm, right, on 36 points. Everton finally scored a couple of goals again on 36 points. Tottenham wouldn't worry about them because they've been absolute crap. Villa, who still have a couple of games in hand, on 32 points. Arsenal, who, minus last result, thanks to the referee, which we'll come on to very shortly, I'm sure, is on 31, but one loss in their last 8 games. So their form has been very good. Liverpool now, if they lose Sunday, will be 3 in a row, and they'll be on 40 points. And you realistically have 1, 2, skip Tottenham, 3, 4, 5 teams chasing them.
Right.
West Ham, if they win their game this weekend, leapfrog Liverpool into 4th if Liverpool lose.
Absolutely.
So you run into a situation now where it's getting very congested in those European spots, which we predicted a few weeks ago, of course. After a couple teams started figuring out their little blips in form.
Right.
And now, somebody's going to find themselves on the outside looking in. A few weeks ago, we said it was going to be Chelsea. They made a change. They look better. Tottenham now seem to be falling apart at the chassis. Everton seemed to have raided the ship over the last few weeks with the result.
Right.
So, again, Arsenal had a setback, but they were in a rich vein of form. So it's going to be very interesting over the next couple of weeks to see how this shakes out. But this is a massive, massive game for Liverpool and far less so for City because City still have to play United as well.
Yeah.
So even if City loses, they can still claim top spot for Manchester United in 3 weeks.
3rd through 10th is anybody's game, completely anybody's game.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. We were all convinced all along that 1st and 2nd was going to be Liverpool and City, and it's starting to look like it isn't going to be that. 2 matches saw double sending off, and VAR rears its ugly head again. Man United 9, Southampton 0, Wolverhampton 2, Arsenal 1. So, Sam, I want to talk about each of these games individually, but let's save, other than mentioning the 2 penalty calls, let's save them for the end because they are eerily close. They're pretty much had the exact same result, penalty and a sending off, and they had different results as far as what got overturned. So I kind of want to talk about those 2 instances together when we're done. All right.
Can we quickly just go over the similarities so we don't have to mention all of the similarities twice?
Well, we're just other than saying.
Just listen.
Okay.
There's 2 reds in each game. One was deserved, one was not in each game. Both referees love to make it about themselves, and Mike Dean and Craig Paulson. And the referees completely changed the game. United are just more ruthless than Wolves are without Jimenez. Similarities end. Now we can go into each individual one.
I would say, unfortunately, by the law, both were reds. Now, that's not me saying...
I don't even think they were fouls.
That's not me saying I agree with the law, but by the law, they're both fouls. They're both reds.
I don't even think they're fouls.
We'll get to that. First off, let's go ahead and get to the actual game. Saints, it happened again. 9-0. Again. It happened again.
It happened again. And the best part about it is you would think results like this are crazy, right? Oh, the first time since 1941 this has happened.
It happened again.
Last year.
Calendar year. It happened again.
Sam came and told me the score, and I'm like, wasn't that last year? No, it just happened. In what sport?
Again.
What sport
I mean,
were they playing?
credit to them, to be honest. 5 of those goals were scored after 65 minutes.
Yes.
So they held out.
And 3 of them were scored after
very well with 10 for a long time. Second.
Yeah. 3 of them were scored after the second sending off, too.
Correct.
Yeah. So
they did pretty. I mean, United jumped all over them immediately when the first sending off happened.
Yeah, let's talk about that 90. Let's talk about that 92nd Premier League debut.
What was
the lad's?
Apparently, I heard.
What was the kid's
through
name?
The grapevine. The kid's name was Alexander Yankovic.
Okay, now please go ahead and continue with your story. My apologies.
Ralph Hasenhüttl apparently said that I heard I don't know that Hasenhüttl said it in the press conference, but I heard that he actually handed in a transfer request before the game, and he got the start essentially to say, "Hey, we actually need you here. This would be nice," and then he goes and does that.
Welcome to your Premier League debut. 90 seconds later. Hope you enjoyed your Premier League debut.
It was an absolutely astonishing challenge.
He hit McTominay on the inside of his thighs. You're looking at McTominay on the ground, and you see these 2 solid stripes of red going down his leg from where the cleats went down his fucking leg. Like, mate, gotta at least look like you're going for the ball. Ball is on the foot. It's not in the mid thigh. Like, is he trying to score with a girl on her first date? I mean, Jesus.
Wrong balls, mate. I don't know if it translated properly, but it's football, not ball feet.
Yeah, not balls. Bunny ball.
It was bad.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. It was absolutely astonishing. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what in the fuck is happening here? Rob has never done anything like this. And we've seen our fair share of reds. And we would never do anything like this. He was set out to tear his ACL from the off.
As a keeper,
but as we'll find out later, you cannot hold the McTerminator down.
No, you cannot.
As he grabbed the 7th and what I consider the nail in the coffin.
Her nail in the coffin. Yeah, because it wasn't over at 4-0 at halftime. It certainly wasn't over at that point. The tough part to watch in that is, again, you always like to mention this. It's now, granted, there had already been 2 red cards, but where's the yellows, right? After they score that penalty, right off the kickoff, Southampton just kicks the ball down the field, almost to say, okay, well, we know you're coming back, so we're just going to go ahead and pack it all in. Like, chase a motherfucker down, take out a fucking leg, fucking just shows, like, I mean, even Hasenhüttl in the post presser were just dejected. The team seemed dejected.
Oh, yeah.
He seemed dejected. And I get it, because you're just sitting there on the sidelines going, this fucking shit again? Really? This is fucking happening again. But it just still, there's gotta be some resoluteness to it. And there just wasn't. And that was probably the most horrifying thing to watch about that match. And you're not going to hold it against the team scoring the goals, because guess what? Goal differential is the first fucking tiebreaker. And Man United is in a title fight.
That's the thing that I've been a little annoyed with over the last 24 hours is a lot of the pundits that I've been listening to and reading tweets out on the radio shows and stuff like that, where they're calling for the way Italy does things and head-to-head becoming the first tiebreaker now, and goal difference being third or fourth down the list in terms of tiebreakers. I don't care for that. It's in that I can remember only happened once, and this is literally off the top of my head, was the United and City season where City lifted their first Premier League trophy. Mm-hmm. When United, I think it was drew
2-2.
No, they won.
They won 1-0.
They won at Sunderland, and then City won 3-2 against QPR. City lost 3-2, but United needed to win by 2.
No, they beat QPR. They won 3-2 because remember they scored an extra time.
Oh, that's right. But somebody else lost that kept QPR up.
It came down to goal differential.
That's right. And I remember that now because both sets of fans were happy despite QPR losing because somebody else lost that kept QPR in the league.
Right.
That's right. So City won 3-2. United won 1-0, but United needed to win by 2 goals more than City to clinch a title. And they didn't, obviously. And that was the most exciting thing. And obviously it's played over and over again. The most legendary of broadcasters, Martin Tyler, was the voice of FIFA for a very long time, if he's still not. And his Aguero right at the death of the game, it lives long in the memory. It was absolutely brilliant. And there's no way that I would take a head-to-head tiebreaker. Go fuck yourself. A game in September should not matter at the end of the season in terms of, a winner lost by 1 goal. You beat me by 7. We still remember that result.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why those goals should count. I'm hesitant to change that at all.
And we're not trying to hurt feelings. We don't care about hurt feelings here.
No, absolutely.
You're a professional. You take your ass whooping and you get over it.
As professionals, though, we talked about this before. Stop celebrating.
Yeah.
You put 9 past 9 men. Well done. Fucking congrats, Nate. Just score, walk back to the center circle.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. Unless it's your debut.
They didn't overly gloat. It was most of the guys.
I'm not accusing them of that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they did, unless it's like a debut goal or something, walk the fuck back.
Yeah.
2 funny things. So real quick, just to get it over with, Wan-Bissaka first, Rashford second, Benderek own goal, which I'm going to come on to in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Edison Cavani, Martial scored twice. Sandwiched between Martial's goals was McTominay, I believe. Fernandes and Daniel James finished it out in stoppage time.
Excuse me. Refer to McTominay by his real name?
Sorry, McTerminator.
Very good.
Benderek was the one that saw that other red, which we'll talk about in just a second. Again, in my opinion, not deserved. But it was a red nonetheless. And while he was on the field, conceded 7 goals, which I've never seen this before in my life. -7 on fantasy.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. Conceded 7 goals, got a red card, and had an own goal. Like, you can't have a worse day ever.
No. And that's -9 because I think he was on the pitch for 80 minutes, so he got his 2 participation points.
Yep.
So his actual score was -9, but his participation points brought it back to -7.
All right, so let's go into Wolves and Arsenal. Wolves were opportunistic, obviously, with the sending off. We'll get into the details of the sending off in a moment, but in the 45th minute, there's a penalty, which is what makes the game even as far at 1-1 between Wolves and Arsenal, because up until that point, Arsenal was owning the match up into that point.
Well on top, didn't take a lot of chances. Bukayo Saka hit the post, and a couple of good saves from Patricio.
Pepe. Oh my God.
And then in the 30th or 31st minute, yeah.
What an individual effort. Jesus. Nutmegs two guys, then takes the shot on his weak foot, and he's just known to be a left footer, like one of those guys.
Big time left footer.
Guard his left. He's never going to shoot with his right. He shot with his right and kissed it off the fucking post in a gorgeous goal. I mean, I don't normally like to gush praise onto your boys because you do enough of that as it is. But fuck me, that was a great goal. It really was. Jesus.
It rode 2 challenges, nutmegged a couple people. It was fantastic. And as you said, on his weaker foot, it was lovely. Did the arrogant little stroll over towards the sidelines and went down on his knees in a very slow slide. It was excellent.
Oh yeah.
And Arsenal were well and truly on top.
In fact, his slow slide reminded me of the Geico commercial where the guy just slides all over the pitch, just all everywhere.
Yeah. And then a little pube on the knee of David Luiz changed everything.
Yep. And then going into the second half, Wolves ultimately get their second goal, go up 2-1.
Well, and that was lovely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that shot.
You can't take away from the strike. The question remains, if there was 11 men on the field, would he have had that much time and space? Blah, 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 blah.
25 yards out in the center of the pitch. Someone has to look at the 2 central midfielders. Partey, Saka, where the fuck were you? That guy can't have, that's, I mean, as far as defensive responsibility goes, if you are a central midfielder, I mean, that's the spot you're supposed to cover.
Xhaka and Partey definitely should have been there. Yeah. Xhaka and Partey definitely should have been at least somewhere near him.
I mean, even minus the man. You just know there. No. That's the no-fly zone. Just don't let him have a good look.
A lot of 10-man drills, right, in training revolve around packing it in the middle and remaining steadfast.
Yeah.
Part of that is because that's where the fucking goal is, mate. And if you put 2 walls of 5 people where the goal is, it's really hard to break that fucking down. So you remain compact and eat up that space so they can't find it. Arsenal decided they were the Arsenal of old. And, 10 men, that means we're going to go score 3 more. Except for they didn't. So they left that space open, and João Moutinho absolutely exploited it, and it was terrible.
So this is obviously what I'm about to say is illegal and would be called a handball, but this is what happened. The ball came to him. He kicked it up into his hands. He looked at it, blew it, brushed it off, waved the guys back. Everybody stepped back for him, put it on the ground, reset it, and then ripped it into the back of the fucking net. I mean, he had
I like to think it's more of a Happy Gilmore conversation he had with the ball. As he's dribbling it up to tee it up for himself. Go to your home, ball. Go to your home. Just tap it in. Tap it. Give it a little tap it in.
You too good for your home?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you took over. If I said one more line, we'd have to pay them cunts royalties.
So it was a gorgeous goal. Get that. Let's talk very briefly because the rest of the match was just Wolves holding off Arsenal, and really Arsenal down to 9 men couldn't get to it. We have to talk about the second red card. As boneheaded as Southampton's red card was in the first 90 seconds, is the red card that Leno gets. That is a boneheaded red.
It's definitely a boneheaded red, yes. I think there was a bit of a depth perception error here, or a bounce error. The ball skipped off the turf a little bit lower than he'd expected it. Because if you look at him, he's in the air.
Right.
I think he expects that ball to come up and he's going to head it out.
Mm-hmm.
But then he jumps and the ball only comes to his chest. But it's Adama Traore, and if he chests it, he's fucked. So he punches it.
That's where the problem is. It's like, okay, so there's a depth problem. Then you just let it hit your body and you let fucking Traore score instead of going, oh, I'm going to just see if I can push it with my hand real quickly and nobody's going to see it.
Instead of putting us under the cosh for the weekend, you just take I fucked up.
Leno, you're not De Gea. Or you know what? Not De Gea. You're not the Manchester United number 1. That's the only fucker getting away with that one, okay? Because they'll look at it and go, well, you see, there was this thing and the way the angle hit, and it really hit his upper part of his arm. So, it's okay.
It.
Right, yeah.
Actually, didn't even punch it. He slapped at it.
Right, but I'm saying if it was a Manchester United keeper,
they
would
of course.
figure out a
he
way
could
to
have caught it, rolled
away.
it out, and they'd have been like, I don't know if that's really a red or
I'm
not.
not sure. I think it hit the shoulder blade personally.
Absolutely.
All right. So
Bruno still hasn't gotten a red, by the way, for stamping on Xhaka's Achilles.
Which, again, fun. Let's get into it, because that's a perfect example. Both of the fouls that happen for penalties, the way the rule is written is if you make any contact with a person, even if you're trying to, quote, avoid the play, it is a red card to make contact with a person who has a clear and obvious opportunity to score. I'm not negating the fact that both opportunities were clear and obvious, because they absolutely were. But what is written into the rules is if you make an attempt for the ball, it's a yellow, not a red. So you're telling David Luiz and Bertonac that if you go ahead and slide, maybe take out the guy's ankle, maybe fucking wreck him. As long as you're going for the ball, it's a yellow card. But if both of you try to avoid the foul and slide out of the way, and both of them barely, if even really hit them, because for Martial, I could have sworn he stopped, turned around, looked back, and tried to stretch his leg out as far as humanly possible for Bertonac to fucking hit it, And in the case of Luiz, it's literally Jose Williams, the bottom of his cleat barely touches his knee. And I get it, by rule, those are both red cards.
But it's not, though.
But
it's not, because there's a coming together. It's a tangling of legs.
Sammy,
it's an accidental
Sammy,
contact.
let me finish my thought.
It happens all the time, and they'd let it go in the center circle.
Let me finish my fucking thought. Give me a second.
Bullshit.
I'm saying that is the law, and by law, that is a red card. But as I've said before with other laws, the law is fucking written wrong. Because in those instances, if you have players that are trying to avoid the tackle, they realize that the guy's going through in on goal. And God forbid, as they're trying to avoid the tackle, fucking there's the slightest of contact, but the player, the minute they feel it goes down, it shouldn't be a fucking red. It just should not be a fucking red. For them to
There's
try
no
to...
reason,
Go ahead.
There's no reason that double jeopardy shouldn't apply here, number one.
Right.
Number two, they weren't fouls. Neither of them were fouls.
No.
The guy was running, and through running, extended his leg back into his opponent. It's an accidental coming together, and the contact was initiated by the attacking player.
Yep.
Fuck this bullshit. Benderek's was then overturned. David Luiz's was not.
Well,
bullshit. So not only did the referee fail, VAR failed, and now the FA has also failed in 1 out of 2 instances, which is a 50% pass rate, which is a fucking fail.
Well, I will say, in defense of the FA, they know David Luiz is a cunt, and he was doing it purposely, and he made it just look that picture perfect because that man is skilled at getting a red card.
You know what he did that Benderek didn't do? Was fall.
And you know what else you haven't done yet? You're shot of fucking Malort.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got to put the mic down and pour the damn thing.
Heard. There it is.
I'm doing it in my Charm City Gooners shot glass.
Very good. Well done, brother. As he's pouring the shot as we speak.
The bile is built up around the rim.
I would say what is interesting about that is that the one gets overturned and the other one does not, while they are the exact same foul. It does scream. They go, well, David Luiz is a typical guilty party. Bertonac is not. It screams that. It absolutely screams that.
Sorry, I forgot to pick the mic back up. Absolutely, it does. It also screams Craig Pawson high-fiving and elbow bumping and fist bumping all the Wolves players and having a good old laugh while Hector Bellerin was trying to talk to him with his hands behind his back in a very professional, captain-like manner. Cheers, Craig Pawson. You're a fucking cunt, mate. I can still taste it.
Rounding out the rest of the league in So that happened. I need to separate my pages so I can read all the scores because it's a lot of games. Sheffield United 2, West Brom 1, Palace 2, Newcastle 1, as I tried to combine all those games together. Man City 2, Burnley 0, Leicester 2, Fulham 0, Everton 2, Leeds 1, West Ham 3, Villa 1, Chelsea 1, Tottenham 0. West Brom takes an early lead, but Sheffield finds a way to come back and get all 3 points, making the bottom of the table a whole lot tighter.
Yes. I would say the way to go about staying in the Premier League is to probably ditch the color scheme of the worst team in the league from last season.
Yeah, that'd probably help.
Yeah, I just don't think it puts you in the right mindset, if you know what I'm saying.
By that, he's mentioning the yellow and green of West Brom. Their away jerseys.
Yeah, that their away kits are terrible, only worsened by their third kit, which is the same thing, but it's white and red, so it's really bright.
I will say to West Brom's defense, their second kit has almost always been that green and yellow. They almost always mimic it to be exactly like their blue and white jersey.
Okay. Yeah, fair
almost
enough.
every year it is that.
So not even at one point I was watching these highlights. I didn't watch this game. And there were 10 players between the penalty spot and the goal line for West Brom, and Sheffield United still scored.
That's not good.
That's not a staple of a Big Sam team. And we joked, obviously, the week after Big Sam took over, they got the draw at Liverpool. Said, how long does it take to implement Big Sam's tactics? A week, apparently.
Yeah. Well, they got their asses whooped, and then it was the 1-1 draw.
Right, fair. So, but he only had 2 days before that first one. Anyway,
right.
It was.
I think it was you in the 4-0 match was the first match for him.
I think that might be right. Yeah, and Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
So they're in a bad spot. They got the great Derby win, sure. They got the Liverpool draw, great, but they are really not picking up any results. I wouldn't call those 4 points a new manager bounce. I don't think so.
I'm starting to think that they're going to be the 20th place team.
Absolutely. It's not good for them. And this was a massive 6-pointer to not have the worst team in the league status kind of hang over your head. And Sheffield United look like they're going in the right direction, and West Brom can't seem to sort it out. They look at 6s and 7s. It's terrible. And their goal was even fortunate.
I still think for Sheffield it's too little too late. Looking at what the rest of the league is doing. Newcastle.
No, I think they'll go down.
Newcastle could still dog their way into it, but I feel like Burnley's probably safe. I feel like Brighton really starting to feel like they're definitely safe. So it really leaves it down to it's Newcastle, and then it's the 3 that are there. Well, the 3 that are there are 7, like Fulham's 7 points behind them. Like
Fulham's playing decent football as well. The results just aren't coming. Fulham are the Brighton of 5 months ago.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
Sheffield United are the form team down there, obviously winning 3 of their last 6, I think it is. And I believe they had a draw in there as well. So they actually have a winning record over the last 6 games, which is huge. And a massive 10 points for them, equaling Derby's, almost equaling. I'm sorry. I think Derby got 11 points in the whole season. In the last 6 games, Sheffield United has almost equaled that record.
Yeah.
But it was a ugly game. Honestly, all 3 goals were fortunate, but Sheffield's in form, West Brom aren't. And, when you're playing well, you get the bounces.
Yeah.
They got the bounces.
Yeah, pretty simple. Let's go ahead and move on to Palace Newcastle. Newcastle gets the early lead with Chandra Shelby in the first 3 minutes. And then after that, Palace just gets themselves right in the right position. Nice, solid win for Palace.
So I can't remember the guy's name, but apparently there's a new assistant coach at Newcastle who was in the technical area last game when they won. Beat you guys, I believe, yeah?
Yeah, and changed the formation instead of being 4 across the midfield.
Animated. Right. He was yelling at players, pointing, doing this,
instead
that,
of being
other.
4 across the midfield, they went to a diamond. So they had the 2 narrowed in, you had a point, and you had a deep. And that fucked Everton. Like, Everton could not manage the middle of the field at all. Yeah. So
Right.
what happened to him this week?
I don't care about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
He was animated. He was pointing. He was yelling. He was doing stuff. Steve Bruce said, this guy's going to take my job. Banished him to the stands for this match.
Mm-hmm. And what happened?
They lost 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do want to make mention quickly that apparently I was rather drunkenly rude to both of these sets of supporters and teams on our paid show. It just so happens that the two most prominent supporters of theirs are my 1 and 1A seed arch nemesis, which I believe is the plural for nemesis. So hashtag sorry, not sorry.
All right. Mel, note to self. Next time Sam's out of town and can't do a show.
Yeah.
We are definitely, absolutely, positively having Brad second chair.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, no offense, Alan, because I love you and you're my brother from another, and we will always do the show together. But since he has now given Brad that kind of power, I need Brad on a mic doing a show with me when he's away. That has to happen.
Hey,
that absolutely has to happen.
Last mention for this.
Mm-hmm.
The goal scorers, Rydervold and Gary Cahill, together in combined experience have not scored in 11 seasons.
No. Well, one is very, very new, and the other one is very, very old, and a center back who isn't particularly tall, so he's not one to get his head on a corner. Yet somehow against Newcastle, got his head on a fucking corner.
Well, it's just like me and you, right? So together we have a combined experience of 6 years, even though we've both done this 3 years separately.
Yeah.
So combined experience, neither one of these two have scored a goal in 11 seasons. And of course, a Steve Bruce-led Newcastle who banished a tactical guy to the stands because he showed him up, allowed these two to score goals. You can't even rate this. This is brilliant.
So, City just continue to fucking roll, man. It's
the only thing I worry about is Nick's Pope, the first goal, Nick's Pope's spill of the shot. It was from close range, relatively close range, sure, for Bernardo Silva,
and that's rare for Nick Pope. Is also
that's what I'm saying. Very uncharacteristic from Nick Pope to spill that, especially into the path of an opposition player. In this case, it was Johnny on the spot, Gabriel Jesus. And good for him. He still had a lot to do, to be honest, to get there. Mahrez played a great ball down the line to Gundogan, who whipped it across because he decided, I'm going to be Kevin De Bruyne today, and found Raheem Sterling. Other than that, Burnley only had a quarter of possession, no shots on target whatsoever. Didn't really offer much to the game at all. And City just keep rolling. The only talking point, and it's a very simple sentence, Burnley only let in 2 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Which they've done the last 3 times to City.
Including Nick Pope has let in a bunch of goals to them. Nick Pope has, Tom Heaton has, of course Joe Hart has, because Joe Hart's given up that many goals to everybody. And then the
at one point or another,
and then the 20-year-old backup keeper, who I don't even remember his name, shipped 4 to him as well. Foxes avenged the loss from earlier in the year to Fulham, and I mean, good game for the Foxes, very convincing. It's funny. They have these off matches every once in a while, but then they rattle off 3 or 4 in a row that are really convincing. And I feel like they're still really in the discussion for Champions League. I'm not sure if they're in the discussion. While the points say they could be in the discussion for the title, the smell test just doesn't feel like they're in the discussion for the title.
I'm with you there. I was actually surprised to learn that Fulham had more of the ball in this match.
Mm-hmm.
Leicester typically only play that way when they have Jamie Vardy in the side. But they did sit back a bit. But James Maddison is very, very convincingly over the last few weeks making a claim to be the starting number 10 for England.
Absolutely he is.
At the Euros. He is in fantastic form, laid on both assists for Leicester. Now, why James Justin was in the position he was in to score the second goal, I'll never know. Because if I was his coach, what the fuck are you doing there, mate? That's Iniacho's position.
Yeah. Well,
but it was a lovely bit of skill from James Maddison, took 2 Fulham defenders out of it, showed the composure, had the vision, was calm, easy, just slid them in, and James Justin did the rest for that second goal. The first goal was an inch-perfect cross.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the center back's name for Fulham, but he was at full jump, and that ball maybe skimmed the top two hairs on his head.
Absolutely.
And found the forehead of Iniacho, who is the first player we're going to talk about in this next segment called Who Needs a Goal? This fucking guy. And he did. Nobody in the league needed a goal more than Kelechi Iheanacho, and damn it, he got one, and good for him.
Well, especially considering when a winger in Iosi Perez is starting to start in front of you as a striker, mate, you're not doing your fucking job,
That's
man.
trouble, yeah.
You're not doing your job.
That's not good.
Fulham are starting to run out of chances, man. I mean, I know this is a game you look at and you go, we're probably not going to win this one, but end of the month in February, they have Sheffield and Palace. You have to come away with 6 points in that. And if you don't, it's over. Yeah, I can honestly say it's over. I like what Fulham's doing. I really like Scotty Parker. I really, really like Scotty Parker. And it feels like they've got some good pieces, but I mean, there's only so many fucking chances you're going to get, and you're fucking running out, mate.
Absolutely. The biggest problem I see with Fulham is, and conversely, I'm going to compare them directly to Brighton, right? Because they play decent football as well. Brighton start off playing decent football, not getting results. Then they see the fruits of their labor. Fulham start off absolute shit, then play like Brighton, and are playing well but not getting results. Well, now you've left yourself no time to actually get the fucking results.
All right, so
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's like it's like golf with Lewis Black. Fulham were less than shitty. They spent $10,000 in 10 years playing, i.e., the first 10 weeks of the season. Now they're just shitty.
Right.
Then another 10 weeks and $10,000, and now they're a little bit better than shitty.
The problem is they're still shitty. They are still shitty. So, Everton get the quick lead. Nice to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin score again, which was very necessary.
Part two of this guy needs a goal.
Yeah, would be DCL needs a fucking goal. Well,
and he got one. It was very well done. I thought both goals though were really breakdowns from Leeds. Now Everton still had to score; they still had to do their thing. But Godfrey, I think, was who flicked on.
The first goal was Andres Gomez was Gomez to Digne across the center of the box to Gylfi.
And Gylfi came out of nowhere. I didn't even know he could run that fast anymore. And he came out of nowhere. Where was the Leeds defense?
Yeah. I mean, that's
what I'm saying. Who was tracking Gylfi Sigurdsson? And then also, for the second goal, was another defensive breakdown, in my opinion, off the corner, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Godfrey got the flick. Where was the Leeds defender on Godfrey? And then Calvert-Lewin was a free header, completely free header at the far post. It's like they could not track the runners from Everton. I don't know if it was I couldn't see any sort of training ground routine or, any picks, for lack of a better term, to use a basketball term, any picks set or anything.
Well, in defense, it is Leeds defense we're talking about here. And a Marcelo Bielsa trained team, defense is kind of a secondary thought.
Well, fair enough. And that, I mean, honestly, that was my last sentence in my notes that my final analysis for this game is, if Leeds have their shooting boots on, they're fine, because the chances in this game were about even.
Right.
But if they don't have their shooting boots on, they lose, period.
I would say Everton was very fortunate to get that second goal as I was watching the match. So we watched with Geckel and Brody and Taylor and Jason, who's a Leeds fan that's a friend of Brody's, and we're watching the match all together on Zoom. And the very clinical opportunities that Everton was getting in the first half and not putting them in the back of the net, when Dominic got his goal, my exact response at that time was, we needed that goal because if we didn't get that goal, we're going to fucking lose. Because we really had the upper hand in the first half. And very typical to what Everton like to do for some reason is they come out of the fucking second half. I mean, I guess Carlo's just a little too nice to him at halftime because they never come out of the gate good in the second half. Two thoughts. When Pickford comes back healthy, please keep Olsen in the net. He made 3 huge saves, and those 3 saves you look at and you go, Pickford would have fucked one of them off. And we did the transfer window, but we missed a very important thing. Leeds made the signing in the January transfer window of bringing over Tottenham Hotspur's pitch to replace their pitch at Ellen Road. And, mate, you got it all wrong. It's the worst fucking signing of fucking January transfer window is that fucking pitch. Because all I saw was a fucking slip and slide the entire fucking match. Fucking match.
That's funny.
Let's wrap up these last 2 real quick. West Ham and Villa. If only somebody in a drunken stupor during a transfer recap had said, Moyes is going to get the most out of Jesse Lingard. Oh, yeah, that's right. I fucking said that. You might have been blackout drunk and not remembered it, but I sound check, and that is exactly what I fucking said. What did Jesse Lingard do, Sammy?
Jesse Lingard had 2 goals there, my friend. And I believe my first line of notes here says, welcome back to football, Jesse Lingard. So I heard something today that I wasn't really aware of. And I just want to make this quick point is Jesse Lingard is regarded as like the kid. Oh, he's just a young lad, blah, blah, blah. He's immature. It's okay. Don't mind his antics. It's fine. Paul Pogba is younger than him.
Wow.
And Paul Pogba fans, specifically that player's supporters, are constantly online talking about things like, why are you giving Lingard a free pass? He's the senior man at this club when he was with United.
Right.
But obviously, and Jesse Lingard, who I have a special hatred for because he always seems to only play well against the Arsenal. And really would be his only game in the team for a run of 5 or 6 games is when they came to the Emirates. And he would inevitably get a goal. But it was good to see him. He's been through some rough stuff. He was taking care of his mother, his family. His mother was sick. He has a lot of younger siblings. He was taking care of them. A lot of things going on personally that took away from his ability to play football and happily express himself. And some of those problems have passed. Obviously, United signed players in his stead.
Jack consoled one of his girlfriends for a little while after they broke up.
Could be, yeah.
No, that fact.
Oh, that happened.
Grealish consoled one of Lingard's exes.
Well, that's
nice to know John Terry's having an effect over there.
Again, just proving what I say. Villa fucks.
It's nice to see a player that cared so much for his family it actually affected his football. First off,
of course,
because they are human beings and people have to remember that. And when this kind of thing happens, I don't mind it, to be honest with you, because it needs to highlight the fact that they are human beings. But to see him come back from that and the joy with which he played this game, the energy with which he played this game was actually great to see, to be honest with you, for somebody that I don't particularly care for as a player because of what he does to my team. Mm-hmm. It was nice to see, just on a human level, what he achieved. And Souček, fantasy-wise, getting the goal again, for me, is also fucking brilliant.
Something worth mentioning, and of course, Mel, we'll get to you here in just a moment with your shot.
No rush.
Not something we've been able to say this entire season. There may have been games where Jack was getting frustrated or not being able to take over a match or things of that nature. Kufal took Jack, put him right in his fucking back fucking pocket.
Yep.
Jack got owned. And that's something we have not been able to say about him at all this entire season. And for those of you who are part of the Drunken United FC group, one Mr. Smokey has made it a great point to let Mel and Lindsay, I'm sorry, Her Highness and Mel know exactly how much Kufal folded up the napkin that is Jack and tucked it right into his back pocket and said, you stay right there, mate. You're not going to do a fucking thing this match.
So, Mel, while you... if you have something to say about the match, get it in now. Because when you take your shot, I'm going to read the haiku that Smokey posted in Drunken United FC.
I really don't have anything to say. Smokey, I am not acknowledging a single fucking thing you have posted, although I did watch the entire video of the last thing that you posted. I just refuse to acknowledge any of it. So,
brilliant.
Yep, up yours.
So, Smokey posted a little poem. Here with Jack Grealish in the front seat of a car, looking in the rearview mirror to see Vladimir Kufal in the back. And it says, I look in the mirror. What do I see? Vladimir Kufal staring back at me. I tried a little dive, so he put me in his pocket. As I writhed in pain, he was off like a rocket. I see him in my dreams and in my nightmares too, this wide-eyed little fullback who wears the claret and blue.
Smoky, bloody fucking brilliant.
Fucking tears.
bloody fucking brilliant. It really was. And hey, credit to him, because nobody's been able to fucking unlock that lock this entire season. And credit to Jack. He's had a great fucking year, and you've shut him the fuck down. Just not
absolutely.
Common. Finally, last game that happened today. Chelsea pretty much owned Spurs, despite the scoreline.
It looked like they had an extra man on the field.
Yeah, really. Well, they did have an extra man on the field because Harry Kane apparently wasn't on the field because he's been injured for 2.5 games, which Jose was more than glad to let us know about. Funny, Jose hasn't talked about players being hurt at all this entire season. After this match, talking about Lo Celso being hurt and Kane being hurt and all the we're not able to do what we want to do because we're missing the most important players on our team.
Well, 2 games ago, pre-match, somebody asked him, what are you going to do about the injuries and Harry Kane especially? And he goes, I prefer to talk about the players that are in my squad in the game that's about to happen.
Yeah.
Well, remember, changed pretty quick after 2 shite results today.
Remember the first time he played Liverpool when he came out with the whole list of the entire players of Liverpool that were perfectly healthy and ready to play?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one very well.
Should troll him this weekend and list all of the first team players that are healthy, including Hyun-Min Song, who didn't do a fucking thing. My notes for this game, I'm doing this one from memory. My notes for this game were, wow, Spurs are bad. That's all I wrote. You can see it. I circled it right there.
Wow, Spurs are bad. I can't say I don't agree. I mean,
Jose's got the shackles on him, and you can see it. They barely made it past 3/4 down the field at all for the first 65 minutes.
Is Son fucking Scottie Pippen? Like, the minute Jordan's gone, he can't fucking perform? Like,
what's weird is, what was it, 2-3 years ago when Kane went out injured for his yearly month-long sabbatical?
He was fantastic. Son was on fire.
8 goals, 9 goals or something.
Him and Lucas Moura were unstoppable.
Great. Yeah. Now they're average at best. I don't know what it is, but it has to be the tactics, because for the last 12, 13 minutes of that match, Spurs were well and truly on top.
Right.
It's like Jose said, fuck it. Go ahead, do what you want.
But it was the very end of the game. Outside of that, and at that point too, even Chelsea is going, all right, time to see this one out, right? We're going to stand back, see it out. It's fine. So Chelsea's even allowing you a little more of the field because they're trying to just see the match out. But that's when you care. That's when you're going to start trying. And then even more interesting, and it's a little bit on his post presser as well, but why no Bale? If Gareth Bale is one of the, quote, best players in the fucking world, and you've got him, and he's a natural goal scorer, why the fuck isn't he on the fucking pitch, right?
You got to throw him on there to give it a go. I mean, he's been shit since he's been back, to be honest. I mean, his form has not been good. I don't think he scored for Spurs since he's been back.
So in the post presser, obviously the person asking the questions, the journalist, is asking questions that naturally the fans want answers to. This is exactly what was said. Why not Gareth Bale? Why didn't he come onto the pitch? Why didn't he get to play? Mourinho. That's a good question. Yeah. But you don't deserve an answer. It's time to tell you what little we know. It is prediction time. Pat finally hit for a decent enough bet. Take a little bit of sting off of his hole he has dug himself. But the rest of us lost. Graham, you are back to losing regularly again and are at minus 265. What do you have for us this week?
I've got a couple of favorites that should be pretty simple. Leicester to win over Wolves and City to win over Liverpool at plus 343. And I think I'm down 265 right now. Is that right?
Yes, 265.
Yeah, so 343 would get me back to about $78, I believe it is, to the positive.
Very good. You're parlaying that?
I would like that very much if that could happen.
Excellent. Well, that's going to be a little different from what I'm doing because I'm still betting $100, but I'm doing it in separate bets. Let's go ahead.
I'm betting $100 on that parlay.
Right. I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm doing something kind of similar. I'm doing two separate $50 bets, but I'm betting $100. So let's go ahead and get to our boy.
And now it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
We are recording late tonight, and he has to be up really fucking early because those cases do not deliver themselves, for fuck's sake. And, you know, give my man a little credit on tonight, and I'm not going to hold it against him. Super Bowl Sunday Spectacular. I don't know. Somebody got to tell him you have to call it the big game, right? Because unless you pay for it, you're not allowed.
You got to pay
fucking
for
say
it,
right?
if you say Super Bowl.
Oh, I went ahead and paid for it, guys.
Okay, cool. We're good. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
By the way, Sam, you're moving to the hen house outside.
Got it.
You know what? That house is bigger than ours.
All right. I am riding high off my midweek hit, which puts me down now only $527. And I have serious gambler's regret. That's right. If you're a degen like me, you're only happy when you hit after a few mere minutes. Then regret comes in, and I only wish I had risked more. So this weekend, in honor of Super Bowl Sunday, I'm going to do a round robin with 3 televised games on NBC starting at 7 a.m. There is a 4th game, but I guess Chelsea didn't make the cut because, you know, fuck Chelsea. So I'm going to put 100 3 ways. So he's doing 3 $100 bets. Leicester over Wolverhampton at plus 110. West Brom plus 1.5 goals against Tottenham, which honestly Tottenham wins 1-0. So I think that's going to probably be a winner for him. And I can't believe Manchester City is almost even odds at plus 103 to win outright against Liverpool. Now, if I hit all 3, I'll win $816.50. If I hit only 2, depending on which 2, I'll calculate for Monday. Have a great Super Bowl Sunday, guys. And if anybody wants to take a ride with me to Harrington or Charlestown on Saturday to place some wagers on the Super Bowl, let me know.
I'll go to Delaware. It's easier.
I'm sorry. I'm checking my notes. I had actually paid for the Puppy Bowl, not the Super Bowl. So we need to go back.
So we
and
have the
edit
small.
all
We have
that.
the small game.
Right?
thing.
Need to beep out the Super Bowl. Like, remember our first couple of episodes where we used to beep out all the fucks? And then she just went, I'm tired of doing 50 beeps a fucking show, so fuck off.
Yeah. It's the small game.
All right. I am on a massive, massive slide. Jesus, it's been like 7 in a row that I've lost. And I am now down $555. But Sam, it's documented in Vegas that I have a record of 102-9 when betting after a loss and recording a show blackout drunk. Sam, the numbers do not lie.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
25% of the time, Sammy, it works 100% of the time. Tried and true method right here, my friend. Tried and true method.
Yeah, down to a quarter.
So I'm going to take two separate bets, both $50 bets, both on the same game, and I'm going with two goal scorers. So it's still a $100 bet, and if both don't hit, I still lose $100 as per our normal agreement. Now, first off, I am going with goal scorers, and I'm going with goal scorers in the same match. I'm going with two Liverpool goal scorers in the City match. First, 50 on Mo Salah, which if that hits, it pays out 135, and 50 on Mane, which pays out 180. So if
you're doing them separately, not in a parlay.
Right. So if Salah hits and Mane doesn't, I win $85. If Salah doesn't, but Mane does, I win 130. If both happen, I win 315.
Got it.
So for some dumb reason, and I don't know why as an Everton fan, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like Liverpool desperately needs this, and one of their two goal scorers, if not both, are going to come proper.
You would hope so for them.
Yep. So,
I mean, you wouldn't, but some people would.
Right. Well, that was a great segment, Sam. It really was. Actually, very well done. And credit to you this time. You weren't half bad.
Hey, thanks.
But we give you more. We give you a prognosticating piece of poultry. We give you Kitty the chicken.
Prognosticating poultry.
Well, Liverpool has not been kind to Kitty this season.
No,
when
she hasn't.
bets them, and she currently sits at 10-12. Now, the snow has settled down around here, and Kitty was in good spirits, so I decided to give her Sheffield hosting Chelsea. Now, Kitty quickly grabbed some old photos. I believe they were Polaroids of her in Soho at the 100 Club from the early 90s. And she was at a Pixie show with Steve Jones and the late Joe Strummer.
Now, Sammy, do you know who either one of them are?
No. They happen to have a little, like a dabble in the oil game?
No. Steve Jones happened to be the lead guitarist of, I don't know, a band called the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
And Joe Strummer happened to be the front man of, I don't know, a band called the Clash.
And
Okay.
Besides being icons of the London punk scene of the late 70s, apparently they both support Chelsea. So it looks like Kitty is taking the pensioners to win. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
Pensioners.
Oh my God.
Pensioners.
Fuck it.
It's all right.
You know what I can say correctly?
I mean, you substitute racist. It's fine.
Well, that's Kitty's pick this week. And everyone, please do always remember to gamble legally and responsibly.
The views of most Chelsea supporters on two platforms do not reflect those of Kitty the Chicken.
Yeah, heard.
Anyway, this is our fantasy segment, which my phone seemed to have backed me out of for some reason. We had a couple of very interesting results this week, which I am very close to pulling up right now. The auto sub rule actually got me a draw versus Kenny. With Mendy's clean sheet, I was in dire trouble. But they gave Højbjerg a fair amount of respect for his performance today. So I got a little bit of bonus points for him. And then they auto subbed in somebody that scored 2. So I equaled his clean sheet. And
same thing happened to me in the reverse way.
Yeah, worked on it. Alan Brody beat out Taylor big time, 48-26. His team name this week is very funny because Jamie Vardy's out. It is Vard Knock Life.
It's a Vard Knock Life for us.
It's a Vard Knock Life for us. You gotta go high. Firehawk loses 20-33 to Elliott. 33-25, Keith took out Alberto. Rob, the unfortunate person that had Benderek in his starting 11, Finished with only 18 and lost out to Ray 43-18. You, my friend, got the other draw against Sparkling Water, who Russ is the manager of, 36-36.
Yeah.
Geckel edged out JB 47-42.
And JB
Lindsay,
saw a loss.
Lindsay almost doubled up Smokey 43-26. Now that quickly leaves Ray at the top of the league, but that's not the story. The story is Sparkling Water, plain Jane, nasty ass Sparkling Water Russ gets himself on point difference out of the golf fantasy reporting situation. And Mel, in your honor, Russ, is drinking a bubbly. And Chris Firehawk drops down the exact same record.
Patreon listener, by the way.
Both of them 6-1-15. But Russ actually has 638 points to Chris's 545.
Chris,
Geckel, though, is still in the relegation
well-written
places.
articles about fantasy golf.
Geckel is still in the relegation places in 13th with 814 points.
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
Which is more than Alberto in 9th at 737. He also has more than both the 6th and 7th place team. And that's it. Everybody else has more than him. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He has more than Ray. He has 814. Ray has 810.
And Ray's at the top of the table.
So unlucky. But the big loser of the weekend is obviously Chris.
There is one every year in every fantasy sport. It doesn't matter what fantasy sport you do.
No, 100%.
There is one that dominates in points and is shit in results.
100%. And so, yeah, but the big loser of the weekend for real is Chris. He now occupies the fantasy golf places, although Russ is not terribly far ahead of him. So this is going to be a lot of fun watching this relegation battle here on the Drunken United Football Show.
And what's funny is we did the Zoom to watch the game. All Taylor could talk about is, God, I hope I tank it so I could be the one who writes fantasy golf bits. Because it's all he cares about is the opportunity to write a fucking bit. He doesn't want success. He just wants to write bits.
You know, I'm sure Russ or Firecock would let Taylor ghostwrite for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they probably would. Well, that's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Sammy, any parting words?
Just go through my notes real quick. Nobody was cunty this week.
All right. So we get away with one, huh?
Yeah, we had a cunt-free week.
How about that? Amazing. It happens every once in a while.
No, don't look at me like that. I'm married. Come on.
All right. That's going to wrap it up, everybody. Next up is Injury Time, where we preview the weekend's action. Well, the midweek. No. The weekend's action. I get lost because we've been doing
I don't know what day it is.
We've been doing 2 a days, 2 a weeks for so fucking long. I forget what fucking time it is. As we preview the weekend's action. And Sammy, if one wants to check out Injury Time, how do they go about doing that?
Very simple, actually. You just go to www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow in your internet browser of choice. You then sign up to one of 3 different tiers. Caveat. The top 2 are the ones that get you the extra content. So just make sure you do that. It's either a $5 or a $9 donation, because 10's too fucking much, mate.
You know, how about that? You only have to do it once. You definitely lengthen it out quite a bit, you whore. All right.
That's kind of my idea.
Till next week, everybody.
Good night.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of my lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey. Sam Graham. Drunken United! hit the fucking mute button.